My first real memories, post-operation, I suppose, because they cut my head open to relieve the pressure from the bleeding. But my first memories were of disorientation, hallucination almost. I didn't know whether I was lying on my side or my back. I kept feeling like I was falling, like really falling, like my body braced itself for impact, even though I was lying perfectly still on the bed. And I was freezing and crying out for help sometimes. I felt I was. That I was in a place where there weren't any people. At one point I thought I was in like an abandoned office block, and there was nothing and no one around me except I was lying on this bed, freezing cold. Turns out the reason I was freezing cold is because I was soaking wet. And the reason I was wet was because I pulled out a drip, which was meant to be keeping me hydrated, and it went all over the place. I mean, now that's what I mean when I say you're not yourself, because that's a crazy thing to do. I would never do that, thinking normally. And that's the way it was for the first few days. It was almost as if like my soul had been half shaken out of my body. Not entirely, wasn't dead, but not entirely in it either. And I was sort of floating around the room I was in, and I had to try and go back into my body, I suppose you want to put it that way. Which I sort of did after a bit. But it was obvious that there'd been significant damage to my cerebellum, which controls motor functions and balance and things like that. And I couldn't walk. I couldn't walk at all. I had no balance. I was bedbound. I had trouble sort of moving my hands and my arms. My fingers was difficult. I remember I had my mobile phone with me and I wanted to watch a film or something, but I had so much trouble trying to operate my phone. I kept accidentally calling people. I gave up eventually. And even then it was hard to see because my eyes and my eyesight had gone blurry. I couldn't see very far. So those first few days, or first couple of weeks anyway, they were about just regaining basic control of my body. Now, the prognosis was I'd probably be in hospital for months. I'd need rehabilitation. I would have to learn how to walk again, which the doctors felt I would be able to do once enough of the excess blood had drained from my cranium. I would be able to walk again, but I'd have to learn balance, and that was the main thing. They weren't going to let me out the hospital until I could walk out. So that became the job. I had physiotherapy. I wanted to do a lot more of it than they had the staff for. So I spent a lot of time lying on the bed frustrated, but I had physiotherapy. I learned a bit more about balance. Oh, it was hard. It was hard. I mean, to begin with, I couldn't even sit on a chair. I'd just slide off it because I couldn't balance myself. And every time I needed to go to the toilet, well, I mean, initially they just gave me a bedpan, which I hated. Easily the worst part of it. When you go into hospital with something like that, anything like that, it's like, check your dignity at the door because you're not going to need it in here. Having nurses helping you deal with the most intimate functions like that, it's excruciating. Although, as I say, in the end, you get used to it, because these are the things you get used to. After a few weeks, though, I went from being wheeled around everywhere to being helped around. I could walk with somebody holding me and helping me. And the physiotherapists would take me it'd be a big deal going for a walk down the corridor in the ward, having one either side of me in case I went. And me slowly padding my way down the corridor, trying my best not to fall on my face, because I was desperate to get back home. Because they were telling me that I would need to go to a place called Clatterbridge for rehabilitation. I could be there for months. I wanted to get home. So I knew that if they'd let me go if I could walk out. And so I focused on trying as quickly as I could to learn how to walk so I could get out of there. Altogether, I think I was there 2 months, which was a lot quicker than they thought I'd be there. But I was there for 2 months. They were expecting me to be there a lot longer. Like I said, they thought I was going to have to go to a rehabilitation centre. But I was determined that I was going to get out of there. I practiced and I practiced. I worked on getting my strength back up and my balance. My family came, keep my spirits up. I remember when the day came where they felt comfortable that they could discharge me, because I could walk with a stick. I mean, I was never gonna, I was never going to sashay down the corridor like Fred Astaire or anything, but with a stick I could walk slowly and carefully. That would be enough for them to let me go. And that's the point I was at then. And I remember I got my bags, my lift was ready to go home, and my big concern was, I've got to make sure I can walk and I don't fall. Because if I fell, that was it, wasn't it? I was back in there. So I got out and I came home, and everybody was glad to have me back home, of course. And I was a bit worried at first, as you are, I think, when you leave hospital. You've been in hospital for a long time. You're surrounded by doctors who can react, like, in the blink of an eye if something goes wrong. Whereas I'm at home and I'm thinking, what if I have another bleed now? Be like last time. I won't make it this time. But that concern subsided. And after this, it became about establishing a new normal. That the old days, work was done. I couldn't go back to work. I couldn't. It took all my strength just to stand up and walk without falling over. Plus, in addition to the ataxia I had, which is the balance and the controlling the bodily movements and all that, it was also I had short-term memory problems. I'd forget stuff all the time, really bad. It's like, when you can't remember something, but it's like in your brain, you're walking along the neural pathway to the information you want. The door's locked, so you can't remember, but you find the key, unlock it, bang, there it is, the thing you were trying to remember. Done. In my case, it's like you walk along the neural pathway. There's no locked door, there's just a big hole in the ground. It's like it was never there, it never happened. And this would happen all the time with me. I just have no memory of anything. It is a very weird sensation, I will tell you, to have a conversation with someone when they talk about something we had done earlier, or a conversation we'd had earlier. I do have no idea what they're talking about. Even just recently, a couple of weeks ago, my son was talking about a film that we watched together, and I said, I've never seen that film. And he said, yeah, we watched it together last year. I said, no, I've never seen that film. I've never even heard of it before. Never mind, never seen it. And he said, he did. We sat down and we watched it. And I had to ask him, what did I think of it? What did I say? And he's telling me about the time that we were watching this film together. And he's telling me about me like it's a completely separate person. Like the person he watched the film with was somebody I don't know and have never met. And he's telling me what this other me said and what he thought about the film. And I had no idea. I still have no idea. It's hard to describe that feeling. It reminds me, funnily enough, it reminds me in a way of the film Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, where Kirsten Dunst's character finds out that she's already had the memory erasing procedure done on her before, and she has to ask Mark Ruffalo character about herself and how she felt and looked in a set of circumstances in her life that were important but which she was completely disconnected from because she had zero memory. And that's how it feels if you have no memory of it whatsoever. I don't just mean your memory's vague or woolly, but it's like it literally never happened to you. Then it did happen. Like my son and I did watch that film together, but at the same time, from my point of view as a person, as my character and my personality being made up of all my past experiences, it's as if it didn't happen. That's a long rambling explanation, I know, of how that feels, but that's how it is. So yeah, I can't do physical work because I don't have the bodily coordination or stamina for it anymore. I can't do sit down thinking work because my brain keeps forgetting stuff. And so here I am doing this. Not in expectation of a career, but simply to try and keep what's left of my brain from turning into sludge. Which is, to be honest with you, the big fear I have. At the moment, as things stand, I've had radiotherapy, something called gamma knife, where basically the thing in my head that caused the bleed, which to give it its proper name is arteriovenous malformation, is blasted with gamma radiation. The idea there is that causes the AVM to shrivel up and close itself up so it can't bleed again. That's in the process now, and it might be another 2 or even 3 years before we see if that's worked or not. And of course, in the meantime, it could bleed again at any time. I try not to think about that too much. It's a bit like having a gun constantly pointed at your head, but there it is. That's the truth of it. So here I am now. I spend my days like a spirit in a Charles Dickens novel, haunting the places that I lived in when I was alive, playing old video games and talking to myself as I am now. I'm not looking for sympathy. Worse things have happened to better people. I'm just telling you, since you asked.